What up, Doe? One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ashley Soden, which can only mean one thing. Matthew Turner is still on holiday. We're still here, creating chaos in the roost. It is the Detroit Lions podcast version of Roar of the Lions UK. Fight night at the Joe. Flacco, a little kickback to the day that Darren McCarty made himself very famous by kneeing another hockey player in the face and putting himself into Detroit lore. But hope everybody is well. We are here this evening, part of our mammoth week of shows, because we're on the short week here, and it is crazy trying to put all this content out. But we are here to discuss the Cleveland Browns at the Detroit Lions. Yes, we did play the AFC North last week. We're playing the AFC North this week, and we're playing the AFC North next week. So we are in the middle of an AFC North gangbang right now, and we are going to see how we're going to do this weekend. So, Ash, how are you doing? We've had a few days to digest that beautiful Baltimore Ravens game. We've had a lot of fun with that. It's been great to sort of savour it, but now we got the Browns coming to town, and instead of being a heavy underdog, we're now a heavy favourite. And if anything, these are the type of games where you're like, I'm actually a little bit more worried about these ones than I am against the big teams.
Yeah, especially since, as we'll get on to, one of their big strengths is something that we're also really good at, and if they can shut that down, well, there'll be a bit of an issue. But yeah, I've had some fun with that, though. I do admit, as I kind of casually told you before we went on air, but we decided to bring it on air as well, the girl I'm talking to is boxing my ears off me to get you to follow her back, because she loves how you tease me and rip into me, so she calls her bestie, and she wants you to follow her back on Instagram, because I won't hear the end of it.
I will follow you back on Instagram. I'm not on Insta much. I should be on more, but when this show has completed, I will do it. So you're there. I just need to get this show out the way at the moment, and then we'll get along to that. But yeah, hope everyone is well today. I see Wizard of War is in the building. He says, "Let's go." Perry Ball is in the building. He says, "Hey everyone, the Lions should beat the Browns. If the Lions come out like they did versus the Ravens, running the ball, wearing down the Browns defense, using play action, we should win big." Absolutely. Wizard of War says the double A dream team. That is what we are, the double A's. We're there, and I'm shaved this week, so we're the partly shaven crew this week. Perry Gall goes, "Hi Ash and Anthony, how are you guys tonight?" We're good. I am absolutely exhausted. This is a very busy working week for me, a few weeks, and it's a short week. We've done podcasts on Monday, technically Monday night, Tuesday morning, Thursday, Friday. We're doing one tomorrow on Saturday. We're doing Sunday. We're doing Monday. We're doing Tuesday. We're doing Wednesday. Oh my God, I don't think I've got a day off doing a podcast till about next Friday. That is crazy. But yeah, we're alive. So we appreciate all of you who are in the building with us, especially with the chaos that's caused when Matt's not here to keep things organised. But we love it that way. We love ourselves a little bit of chaos, don't we? But yeah, we're going to be breaking down the matchup this evening. And yeah, these Browns are not to be taken lightly. These are the games, the banana skins, where you've got to play professional, play hard, do your job, and you should get the win. But as we've seen last week, fear them at your peril, or wash them off at your peril. The Packers didn't show them respect, and the Packers ended up losing. Let's just get all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Brent DeWitt is in the building as well. He goes, Lions 37, mistake by the lake 24. Go Lions. And of course, Brent, my heart goes out to you. I hope the Lions win this week to erase the absolute humping the Army got from East Carolina last night. I was watching some parts of that game, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's not going to be liking this. So here's hoping Michigan and the Lions do it for you this week, Brent. Wizard of War goes, F the Browns. Hey, we don't mind the Browns so much in here. Like they're like us, a team that has been degraded and forgotten about, and has had a lot of national scorn put on them. But overall, they're a good bunch. So we're not going to throw too much shade at them this week. But anyhow, notes out the way. Roar of the Lions UK Discord wanting fire. We'll fire across the link for that. The college football podcast was last night. Myself and Ryan broke down week 4 of the season. A lot of great stuff going on college at the minute. And of course, we've got a massive weekend coming up of college football. And hopefully tomorrow night me and Ash are going to be doing a watch along. We're going to be watching the Oregon at Penn State game, which is running side by side with Georgia and Alabama as well. So we're going to do a watch along, go through the day's action beforehand, and look at two of the biggest teams in the country finally play a meaningful game of football, because they've both played scrub schedules so far. So let's see who's the better of the two. Don't forget to like and sub to everything. We're about to hit 2,000 subs on YouTube, so if you could push us up to there, that would be awesome. You know, we really appreciate all of you who back us. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so don't forget to subscribe to that Herman Moore's project we are a part of. We're an affiliate on Twitch, we've got a tip jar, all that good sort of stuff. So if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, as you know, we just love having you in the building, choosing to use your time to listen to us talk about Lions. So yeah, that's all great. And we got the feedback form as well, so if you want to use that, please do. But I mean, you know, us two are pretty awesome, and I can't really think of many ways that you could improve on us. So, you know, hey ho, although I could be surprised. Right, Perry Ball says Lions O-line is getting better every game. The D-line seems to be solid. When McNeil comes back, hopefully he returns to form from last year. He can have his usual impact. Yeah, scary thing is we just took the Ravens down, and we're still waiting for some of our big stars to come back from injury, especially on defense, which is even crazier. So, you know, we are looking great. Jay Cruz in 71 is in the building, says sup Brits. Hey, sup to you, Jay Cruz, and hope you are well. A few bits of news to go through before we get to it, and a bit of unfortunate news to start off with. I don't know if many have seen today, but it was announced that former Lions defensive line coach and the current New England Patriots defensive coordinator Terrell Williams has unfortunately been recently diagnosed with prostate cancer. So, of course, we're wishing him the absolute best and hope that he is able to make a full recovery from that and be able to return to his job full time. It's not affecting him right now, but of course, you know, no one wants that sort of diagnosis in their life. He was very good for our franchise, did a terrific job while he was here, and, you know, we're all our best wishes are all with him. So, you know, fight this one, Terrell. Hopefully you can kick it out the park like you did while you were here with us. There are rumours swirling around that once again the NFL are going to be fining a Detroit Lions player. It seems to be their favourite pastime right now. This time they're going after Amon-Ra St. Brown and his first down celebration against the Ravens. At this point, who cares? You know, let's just keep paying them. Let's just keep being rebellious. That is the way we like it. Official stats coming in from the Ravens game means that Penei Sewell has officially recorded the highest run blocking grade for an offensive lineman in the PFF era, and the third highest overall grade of any player ever in said era. So pretty much, in a nutshell, he had one of the best games a player has ever had in their life in one of our biggest games, and he just killed anybody he came up against, especially Mike Green, who has probably taken a rollicking in training this week with some of the tape that he put up against Penei. And then, for last but not least, a little bit more happier news. The team have launched a campaign to get former offensive tackle and broadcasting legend and member of Lions Pride, I believe, Lomas Brown, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame today. Obviously, it's, you know, after Calvin and Barry, there's not many guys who are threatening to break into that Hall of Fame right now. Especially, it'll be guys from this team who are going to be knocking on that door. And we're talking 10, 15 years down the line. But Lomas is one of the best guards who played certainly in the 90s. He is absolutely deserving of this. And yeah, they're going all in on trying to get Lomas into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've not checked his monitor score of yet. I'll have to have a look. But yeah, a few different bits to go through there, Ash. What do you make of the news today?
Well, I'm going to start with the sort of the most humorous one, which is obviously the Amon-Ra stuff. I've put it on there because I saw it on Instagram, and I was like, surely not. But then you watch it back and come on, like, you can't be showing such dummy fixed cheeks clapping for people and not expect a fine. You know, that is sexually explicit stuff. You should not be exposing young children's eyes to that. Especially, you know, you saw JMO do it first and do it badly, then you have to go and show him up. He probably needs to pay part of the fine as well, JMO, because he did it badly. But yeah, I saw that, I was like, it makes sense. But like, the league will just fine us for stupid stuff. Like, knowing us, even though the call on Branch with that, he might get fined for that. There's just little stuff that might happen like that. It always seems to happen, as you said. And it's good news, Lomas, as well. Like, obviously, I know he said to, I think it was Mike Payton when he interviewed him a couple of years ago, that if he does it, he's going to play the saxophone live on stage at the Hall of Fame ceremony. So let's make that happen. Good news with Ben as well, sort of getting those. So ironically, the third highest, he was tied with Lamar in one of his previous games for this mark. I think the earlier ones have been in front of it are, I think it was running backs. I think one of them was probably like Zeke Elliott in like 2016, like his rookie season. He had a like 99.6 grade or something stupid. And then obviously with Terry Williams, fortunately came out after we had the press conference with Dan today, so we couldn't make like an official like statement on it. But yeah, really bad news. We kind of knew something was up because he'd been away from that team for a good couple of weeks. Someone else had to step up and take over the defensive play calling duties. We knew something was up, and yeah, worst of worst. Obviously, we wish him the best and hope he gets better, because that's just a sucky situation.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Just taking a look at Lomas's credentials here. So, Pro Football Reference do what is called a Hall of Fame monitor, where they score you as a player based on certain credentials, your amount of Super Bowls won, All-Pro appearances, Pro Bowls, the amount of seasons you are a starter in the league, things like that, to build up a score you accrue over your career. And they have a average number, which generally it takes for a player to get in. Now, the numbers vary per position. So for tackle, you need to have a monitor score on average of 95 to get in the Hall of Fame. The only guy who's got a higher score who's not in is Jim Tyra, back from the 1960s. That might be... Sometimes these things are related to scandals and bits like that. Lomas's score sits at 63.8, so he's 30 shy right now, although there are a couple of guys in the Hall of Fame from below him with lesser scores. There's 3 overall, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players above him who are not in there yet. There's guys like Trent Williams, Tyron Smith, Jason Peters, Joe Staley's in there as well from recent years. So, I mean, maybe... but it seems a longer shot at this point. But obviously, you know, everyone has their own individual things. So, but he's probably the closest of many Lions players at this point in time, unless you're looking at staff potentially. So we'll see. But they're trying to get him in. We'll see. He's already in the Lions Hall of Fame. We all know he's a Hall of Famer in our heart, and that is the one thing that matters there, really. So yes, there we go. Right. Think, where are we? We're now going to go on to the game itself. So we are going to take a look at some of the outlying stats for the Browns, and then of course we're going to take a look at their draft class, and then we're probably going to break down the teams after that, and we'll go through it bit by bit with them and what they've done this season so far. It'll be a bit different to how Matt does it, but hey ho, there we go. And some of these we don't get. So the Browns so far on the year, they are 1 and 2 on the season so far. Their expected wins is 0.9, so they are about on par with what they are expected to so far per Pro Football Reference. So an opening loss against Cincinnati, 17-16. A loss at Baltimore, 41-17. Although that was fairly close for a good chunk of that game, and then finally last weekend when they absolutely shocked the world and took down the Green Bay Packers on their own turf, despite not scoring a point until the fourth quarter of that game. But exactly where they're expected to be in terms of this game. Obviously, the Lions are very much favoured here. Bet365 has Detroit at 2-11 on, whereas Cleveland are 4-1 outsiders, which is plus 400 in American money. Well, American betting odds, sorry. Detroit are minus 10 for this game, so 10-point favourites. So everybody very overwhelmingly thinking this is going to be a Lions win. The over-under of this game is only 44.5. So what that's saying to me is that they're expecting this to be not necessarily a low-scoring game, but one team's not going to score many points and one's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, then they are expecting that to be the Browns. I mean, before we talk about the injury reports and everything, that's just on the surface level here. I mean, we came into the season, a lot of people, after everything that's happened with Deshaun Watson and various other members of the team, then Quinshon Judkins got arrested, etc. I think it's fair to say a lot of the teams around the league and a lot of fans around the league looked upon the Browns with a little bit of scorn going into this year, and not many people thought they were going to be a very good team. And, you know, to this point, 1-2, but I think maybe the one thing we've seen about this team, they have one very elite unit on this team, which raises... They're so damn good. It raises the rest of the team with them. But I think the statement thing is here, this is a competitive team this year, which maybe people didn't expect. A lot of teams are struggling to put these guys away, or it's taking time to put them away, or if they're not approaching them with the requisite amount of respect, they get beaten. They are not what we thought they might be, and, you know, good for them.
Yeah, 100%. So, obviously, their defense, which is led by former Lions head coach Jim Schwartz, is just, it's carrying that team to the nth degree. Like, that defensive line, I said it in my preview, and we've heard it from pretty much every Lions outlet, media outlet that is out there. This defensive line is not to be overlooked at all. But obviously, you've got Myles Garrett, who, if he's not the best defensive player in the league, he's in the top 5. You've got Mason Graham, who most fans will know because obviously drafted him out of Michigan. Malik Collins, as we'll get into in a bit, great free agency pickup for them. And then they've got a rotation of guys on the other side of Garrett who they can rotate in and keep people fresh and exploit matchups. They know what they're doing there, and their linebackers as well. Devin Bush, former Michiganer as well, they've kept him around and he's exploded this season for them. They've drafted Carson Schwarzenegger, who I know had a lot of fans, especially Matt, loved him out of UCLA, and he's hit the ground running for them. It's everywhere. They've got, at least on that starting 11, they've got good players in defense and then some great backups. Like, their safeties are grading really high this season. Obviously, I know Delpit had gift of a pick from Love last week, but he's playing really well. There is a few weaknesses. People who will read my preview to come out tomorrow know all about how we can exploit their secondary. And then on the offense, for an offensively minded coach, Kevin Stefanski, 2-time Coach of the Year winner, Kevin Stefanski, so we'll get into in a bit, he might be in a bit of trouble. It's not doing as well. Maybe it's because the QB situation is Joe Flacco able to connect with his receivers. Is the offensive line weighing them down? So they used to be their strength. You go back to when Nick Chubb was running the ball for 1,500 yards, and Baker or whoever was in the backfield for Cleveland was able to have time to throw. It's kind of fallen off a cliff. Like, Joel Petonio is still good, but he's at the twilight of his career. Evan Posich is going downwards. Wyatt Teller, who was a really, really good pickup for them way back, and he exploded to be a really good right guard, he's kind of gone down the shitter. Jack Conklin, who they signed and was good for a couple of years, injured. He might not even play. And then their left tackle, who they drafted a couple of years ago, Juwan Jones out of Ohio State, is now on IR, as we'll go into in a minute. So they're looking at former line Cornelius Lucas starting there, or Thayer Mumford, who they picked up off the New England practice squad this week, or Katie Leviston, who they traded for from the Rams, who was playing guard last year. That's who could be starting their left tackle for them. There's a few issues there. And in the receiver group as well, like Cedric Tillman's good. I really liked him in the draft class. Jerry Jeudy's a good route runner, but he hasn't really got the connection with Flacco. And then they're starting Isaiah Bond, who was a UDFA that, again, because he had some issues himself, wasn't picked up late until camp. There's not a lot of good stuff for them there, except for the running back room with Junkins, who, since he came in week 2, has been good. Dylan Sampson, who they drafted this year, has done some good stuff. To have Raheem Sanders, who I know you're a big fan of when he was at Arkansas. And then they've got Jerome Ford, who's their power back. Like, they've got running backs, but if they can't block for them, and the tight ends have got more receiving options, they're not really good blockers. There's not a lot they can do. So, offensively, they're stifled. Defense is good, but there's stuff to exploit there. And their special teams, well, I know it kind of won them the game last week, but Schmidt is the reason they lost the week 1 against the Bengals. They should have won, but he missed a chip shot field goal. And, it's average at best. So there's definitely stuff that, we should not overlook them at all, because any given Sunday and all that, and the defensive line especially can keep them in this game. At the same time, there's a reason they're 1-2. There's a reason why they're in the situation they are.
Absolutely, they are, and we will drop down into the various parts of this team and look at what makes them tick and maybe what doesn't necessarily make them tick there. But yeah, this is a team that is doing better than maybe you expected, and one where you say beware with caution. In terms of the overall injury reports that have come out so far, so they're all out at this point in time. So for Detroit, not playing this week will be linebacker Zach Cunningham with a hamstring injury, although he only played 2 reps in the last game. One of them was pretty big. And then special teamers has taken a big hit. Daniel Thomas, as we know, out with that forearm that's going to require surgery, and then Sione Varkey is out with his groin injury. Taylor Decker and Al-Qadim Mohammed are both questionable for the game, although both are expected to play, and there's expected to be no issues with them there, and no one has picked up at the last minute. In terms of Cleveland, right tackle Jack Conklin is questionable with his elbow injury, although he is not expected to play per Jeff Risdon. Obviously, Riz has his sources with the Browns. He used to cover them once upon a time. And then in terms of the Browns IR injuries, so DeJuan Jones, tackle, is out. Cornerback Martin Emerson is also out. Both of those on IR. And then on PUP, guys who've not even started the season as of yet. Obviously, King groin massage himself. Deshaun Watson is he's not going to be playing this year. And then linebacker Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa. Obviously, big loss there for them. And then on the NFI list is former Purdue player David Bell. Nearly got that one wrong there. So we'll talk about the injury report for Detroit at the minute, but as we mentioned with the Browns, it all starts at the top, and head coach Kevin Stefanski, in his 6th season with the Browns, he was part of the coaching cycle before Dan Campbell, currently sporting a 41 to 46 record. That is a win percentage of .471, and he is 1-2 in the playoffs, and as Ash said, a 2-time Coach of the Year, whereas Dan Campbell's won 2 playoff games and he's never won it before. Go figure. But obviously after 4 pretty promising seasons to start with, 2 11-win seasons, last year went 3-14 with Deshaun going completely off the rocks, and then they've started 1-2 this year. We were asked in the chat earlier, I think it was by Perry, if I got that wrong I apologise, but we're talking about the Browns head coach and whether he is on a hot seat this year or not. Obviously they still have quarterback controversies. They drafted a couple of guys. We'll talk about the draft class in a minute, but I mean, there is no doubt that Kevin Stefanski has done a Dan Campbell-ish job there. He took over a franchise dead in the water that was just the laughingstock of everybody. They had the one remarkable season with him early doors, and for the most part, up until 14 months ago, this was a team that was a lot more stable before, and no matter how bad they are, you always know that he is one of the better coaches in this league, and for one, with all the problems they've got, they will always be pretty well coached, and you have to respect him.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you said, that first rookie season, which is the first time he won the Coach of the Year award, 2020, 11-5, third in the AFC North, obviously beat the divisional rival Steelers in the wild card round, and then lost to Kansas City in the divisional game, which is, not to be scoffed at. That's a good start. Then the roller coaster happened. The next year, 8-9, still third in the AFC North, don't make the playoffs. Next year, the year after that, 7-10, fourth in the AFC North, obviously don't make the playoffs there. 2023, obviously the year that he won the second one, which is the one where everyone was. We had the famous debate between him and Dan Campbell, because it's our first great season that we had. Obviously, he won it because he got them to 11-6, second in the AFC North, into the playoffs where they lost to the Houston Texans. But he did that with all these injuries, like Chubb. That's when Chubb had his ACL tear. I think it was Jedrick Wills got himself hurt, and he was out for the whole season. They had a whole boat of injuries, and they still made it. It's good. And then it's just crashed for whatever reason, be it obviously them having to stake their QB wagon to the Sean, offensive line sort of falling off the cliff with age, having to lose free agents because obviously that contract and that. 3-14 last year, fourth in the AFC North. And then this year, 1-2. He really is on a hot seat because yeah, he had built up that good record of trust with the good seasons, but if the team's not making it, sort of making that progress, and everyone can see that looks at the organization that most success right now, all these wins are coming from the defense and Jim Schwartz, and how bad their offense is. Like, they're bottom of the barrel for quite a lot of the metrics out there in terms of like passing yards, rushing yards, all this. They're not there, and that's supposed to be his bread and butter, being the offensive coordinator. That's where he came from. He was the Vikings offensive coordinator once upon a time, made it through all their system, came up through the sort of Sean McVay, Shanahan schemes, and that. It's not working. So that, yeah, it might get to the point where they get to the end of the year and they don't make the progress, and then they're back to square one, having to look, which is not 100% his fault. He's had to deal with injuries. He's got saddled with the groin massager, as you said, and his massive, fully guaranteed contract. He's done the best he can, but when it's seemingly the best he can is built off other people's success with Jim Schwartz, what he's managed to do with his wide nine scheme and turning players like Devin Bush, who was a complete bust for the Steelers when they drafted him, he'd bring him over and suddenly he's playing well, reclaiming some of the other projects. Like Greg Newsome a couple of years ago was a trade candidate, supposedly, when we were in the depths of our cornerback issues a couple of years ago. The Browns wanted to get rid of Greg Newsome, and now he's suddenly their best corner. Stuff like that, where they can take these reclamation projects and get the most out of them on defense. It does show up Stefanski, so this is a chance for him right now. He's learned his last chance saloon. He's definitely on the hot seat, and I put on our talking points so I can scratch it off for later. But yeah, Stefanski, despite his allure of the two Coach of the Year awards, and he will probably, if he gets fired, someone else will pick him up. Maybe somewhere like, I don't know, Miami or New York, because he does have that QB whisperer tag with him because he was there when Kirk started being good. They might hire him, but it might be his sort of last chance right now in Cleveland this year. And if they don't get back to 500, they're not in the playoff race come late December, he's done for.
Yeah, exactly. Miami could do with it. I think Miami would be honoured to have him as their head coach. I think he would do really well there. At least take the diva out that room and give them a little bit of a spine there. But yeah, absolutely. The job he's done there has been a good one overall, and I think it's just the team hitching their wagon to Deshaun Watson has really derailed his progress, because there's only so much you can do in a cap situation at this point. All the negativity around there, it's tough, but you expect a good, tough performance against the Browns when you face them, and absolutely we're going to here. So yeah, he is at the top. In terms of other little bits about them, we'll talk about the draft first before going through the depth chart. So this year for them, Mason Graham taken with pick 5. Obviously they traded back, got some more picks and future picks there, but taking the Michigan superstar at pick number 5, then following it up with the all-round UCLA linebacker Carson Schwessinger. Then they went in-state for the next few picks. Obviously Quinshon Judkins, one of the star running back duos at Ohio State last year, and then the best tight end in the nation, statistically speaking, Harold Fanning Jr. out of Bowling Green. And then they went quarterback carousel, because obviously Deshaun, not a sure thing, so taking a few shots at their depth chart there, starting off with Dylan Gabriel at pick 94, quarterback out of Oregon, then obviously Shedeur Sanders at pick 144 out of Colorado, sandwiched in between them the running back Dylan Sampson, so, double dipping at the running back position after letting Nick Chubb leave. And then again, some of their more noticeable UDFAs, defensive lineman Aiden Huntington, the wide receiver Isaiah Bond, linebacker Easton Massarenas Arnold, quarterback Dom Jones, safety Donovan McMillan, and Raheem Rocket Sanders, originally taken with the Chargers. But obviously very, and just adding in the last couple of drafts there, the last couple of years there's been a big strategy from this team, Ash, to build up those trenches. You go into 23, obviously big Duff Siaki Ika, who you could have told miles away, but they brought him on there. Obviously DeWarren Jones, who is a starting tackle for them now there, Isaiah McGuire, starting edge, they're all picked in the same draft. Last year the first two picks, Michael Hall, the DT out of Oklahoma, Zach Zinter, the guard out of Michigan, and then this year you got Mason Graham coming into the mix. You're mixing in linebackers in there, you're getting the run game of tight ends you're bringing into the building as well. There's been an obvious focus on this Browns team to reinforce its trenches and its players around that in terms of the run game on both sides of the ball. And whilst we haven't seen it materialise on the offense just yet, obviously the QB situation has not helped that at all. On the defensive side of the ball, this draft strategy is paying off massive dividends. We're starting to see some of these guys really come to the floor, especially as this rookie class. As drafts go, they haven't been doing too bad recently.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, it got to the point where Juwan Briggs, who was their 7th round pick last year, he was not needed on their defensive in their defensive tackle room, so they traded him to the Jets as they get into their off season. That's one of the moves they made because they had such depth on the defensive line. They could do that, sort of start flipping these rookie contracts for picks. And yeah, it's worked out. Like Zach Zinter, who you mentioned, obviously they drafted in the 3rd last year, should have gone high if he didn't have that injury that took him out. While he hasn't exactly broken into the starting lineup yet, it is coming to that point, as we mentioned earlier, because he plays a right guard. So ROTL is on the downturn of his career. That's someone who, as soon as they make the decision, they can plug his into, and he should hit the ground running there, kind of like how Tatum Mahogany has for us. They have made that concerted effort because Stefanski's been around teams that have done the same. Like he was on the Vikings when they really started plugging up their trenches by taking Danielle Hunter and all that, and taking both their tackles were drafted when he was there, and all this. Start building up that way because he could see, especially that 2023. Obviously, so that happened, but then it had an injuries. He could maybe start to see what was going to happen where the offensive line was going to get older, Myles Garrett was going to get more expensive, so the rest of the defense had to get cheaper. He could see that coming, and they made the right moves there. It's just this supplementary stuff that they took. So you say like Siaki, who's taken to pluck up the middle, the nose tackle, that didn't work out. They've done their best, and then some of the other pieces like Shamari Frasher they took, who was great for Louisville. Tried to get someone that's kind of like, when I say I'm like a beta Amon Ra in terms of could get open quickly, good route runner, good after the catch. They got that. It hasn't currently worked out yet. They've tried their best with these sort of the skill positions, and it's a bit more variable. As I say, like Frash hasn't hit, but Cedric Tillman, who's their first pick in 2023, has done great. He's their ex-receiver. He's a starter. He's good. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who I know Matt liked, he's now been traded. Luke Whiteplayer back up for them. They've had big hits, they've had some misses, and they've had people in the middle of just depth roles, and you can't really moan.
Like every team, really, I guess, isn't it? You've had your good ones and your bad ones.
Every team that isn't the Ravens and the Lions, we're the only two teams that are currently, and we can't be beaten in terms of drafting.
No, I still think that Mason Graham pick was one of the smartest in the draft. You want to open up a game for Myles Garrett, you put the most destructive defensive tackle in years next to him on that line, and you can already tell that one is paying out big dividends. Massive shout out to TJ, who has sent in a $5 super chat. He goes, "Hello all, one pride." Thank you, TJ. Hope you are doing awesome. I'm watching all your comments in the chat as well, so I don't think I am ignoring you. I'm just trying to get through some of this because I know we get sidetracked sometimes, but if you have questions or anything, I will answer them. We always will, you know that. So that's in terms of the Browns draft. Now let's look at the depth chart in general here. So on the offensive side of the ball, Joe Flacco starting at quarterback for the Browns this year. Obviously they've gone with the experienced option first, and yeah, let's just suffice to say the numbers are not great. 77 of 126, 61% passing, 631 yards at 5 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. Dylan Gabriel has seen a tiny bit of action. He's actually 3 of 3 for 19 yards and a touchdown, so he's throwing 100% this year. So danger, high voltage. I mean, clearly easy to see what the Browns have done here this year, Ash. They've obviously, Deshaun's under. The program has gone for rookies who are not ready to start on this team right away. So what do you do in that circumstance? You get a vested vet who has been around the league, who is serviceable. In this case, he's very old, but he does have his moments here. But You can tell they're in transition at the moment. The quarterback room is not settled. It's not something that you worry too much about if you prepare professionally for it. And, it is what it is for them.
Yeah, definitely. Like, they obviously need a stabilising situation, even if they didn't take the rookies, because obviously Deshaun had his injury and he's just fallen off a cliff, to be honest, in terms of his play. So they just need someone to stable the ship, even if it was to sit behind Watson and whenever he flamed out, come in. And even on the practice squad, they've got another sort of option with Bailey Zappi as well, where they've always they were the team, I think, at some points in the preseason had 6 quarterbacks, because they had the 3 that they've currently got: Zappi, Kenny Pickett, and one other option on their squad all at the same time. Like, they've really tried to sort out this QB situation, because Scavancino knows how important it is. That's how he became the offensive coordinator in Minnesota, was working with the QBs. And God, think back at some of the ones he worked at, he in the rooms when he was there. Sam Bradford, Kirk Cousins, obviously. All these QBs have had to come in and kind of, they're a revolving door. He knows what it's like, which is why maybe he's gone for Flacco as a stabilising option. And then he's kind of gone for 2 different styles of QBs for the other guys, with Gabriel, who is a bit more of an improviser and is a bit mobile. And then Shador, who, suppose he turned down going to the Ravens earlier because he didn't want to sit behind a good QB, because how do you learn if you're from the bench, kind of thing, all that stuff that, Coach Prime said on the New Heights podcast. He's there. Obviously, their fans really want him. More of a stand and deliver kind of QB. Maybe they've done the right thing, not exposing him to this offensive line, considering, what happened to him at Colorado and their offensive line. They actually might want to get some play out of him in a couple of years, so don't get him broken behind his offensive line. Yeah. They made the right choice. Flacco is good enough that in the right situation, he can deliver the ball on time to his playmakers and let them make the plays. It's just, 1, he's not getting the time, and number 2, his playmakers are not catching the ball. Like, their leading receivers, getting to it a bit, is Fannin, and he's got 150 yards. That's not good.
No, it is not indeed. In terms of the running back room, Quinshon Judkins is running back 1, the draft pick out of Ohio State, and after him, a very noticeable theme with their running backs: Jerome Ford, Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders. Jerome Ford, the absolute speed merchant out of Cincinnati from a year or so ago. Dylan Sampson, the absolute speed merchant out of Tennessee last year. He is another one of their rookies. And Raheem Rocket Sanders. And guess what? With a name like Rocket, what is he? He is an absolute speed merchant, whereas Quinshon Judkins is your traditional tough 3-down rushing back who's very tough, very hard to bring down. But again, very noticeable what they've done here. They've got their bully back in there, but behind him they've placed an awful lot of speed, guys who can catch out the backfield, guys who can give them a little bit of versatility on there. Obviously, offensive line's a bit funny, QB situation as it is, but on the face of it, that's a very, very good young room as well. I think Jerome Ford is in year 3, rightly. The rest of them are all younger than that. They're young, they're talented, they've got a lot of danger posed to them. It's just whether that offense allows them to or not.
Yeah, so completely agree. And it makes sense for the scheme they've run their outside zones, like to have the kind of Gibbs style running backs that, a bit more faster than power truckers. But looking at this little room, like, other than Sampson, the other Fraser, Judkins, Ford, and Sanders, they do have a bit of bulk to them. They can, if you need to run through inside the tackles, they can handle that. Sampson's like the true sort of change of pace, third down, speedy kind of back. With his size, he's 5'8", shorter than me, which, isn't good. But it fits their scheme, and, Judkins, I know obviously had legal issues, which is why he didn't sign, and all that stuff. They made the right pick kind of for them in the second round with taking him. I know obviously there's other backs like Trevor Henderson and that, but for what they needed, he fit that. Like, Judkins was more of the sort of lightning running back to Henderson's more power, from what I remember at Ohio State, and it's the same at Ole Miss where he transferred from. Like, he was always that kind of more speedy guy, but does have a bit of the power, and it fits what they needed because, again, with their offensive line, they need to bounce out, etc. But you can also pass catch, which you need when, you're getting pressured. So he can be their 3-down guy. Sampson, when he played in week 1, he filled in quite well. Sanders hasn't got much run, unfortunately. And then Ford, despite being speedy, he's almost used as that sort of short yardage back in the way that the little bits I've seen of them. So they have their defined roles. It's not going to be like us where they flip them. You've got 2 guys that you flip between, and that they have a stable, but it's mostly Judkins, and then if you need to play or 2 off, they sub in someone else depending on the situation, rather than 1 second it's Monty running on a 1st and 10, and we get to a 2nd and 2, and suddenly we're subbing Gibbs. It's not that sort of nice interplay. It's Judkins, bell cow, everyone else gets the scraps.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And in terms of how they've been rushing, Judkins has 155 yards on 28 carries, going at 5.5 yards per carry with a tutty. Obviously, he's only played the last couple of games, started the season late. Ford's 12 for 39 at 3.3 yards per carry. Sampson is 17 for 37 at 2.2 yards per carry. So they have not been running the ball particularly well as of now, but Judkins has put that little bit of oomph in the room. In terms of the receivers, they've pretty much been mentioned already. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy, the starter, the big name on there. Cedric Tillman, you've got the speedster out of Tennessee. Isaiah Bond, you've got in as well. And then Jamari Thrash, DeAndre Carter backing them up. But, it's not the greatest room in the world. In terms of the tight ends, David Njoku, been around the league a very long time at this point. And obviously, he is backed up by Harold Fanning Jr., one of the best tight ends in the nation in college football last year. So you've got a couple of reliable pass catchers in the tight end room, as Ash has already been talking about. And then the offensive line. I mean, it's very easy to see what's gone on with the offensive line here in terms of how they grade up. You've got this interior of Joel Bitonio at left guard, Ethan Pokic at centre, and you've got Wyatt Teller at right guard. No other player has played a snap at any of those positions this year. It's been these 3 from start to finish, and they're all grading well on the year. It's when you get to the tackles. We have had 4 left tackles, and we've had 3 right tackles thus far. Obviously, injuries have been playing a big part in here. Jack Conklin hurt, DeJuan Jones hurt. A lot of change has been made at the tackle position. It's a shame. It's a line that's been well built. It's got a really good interior, a very experienced interior, but it's just been the complete shake-up at both tackle positions and the lack of stability there, which is where their problems have been coming. When you can't get the consistency there, the line as a whole cannot operate functionally. And that's obviously a big weakness we're going to have to look to exploit this week.
Oh yeah, 100%. We obviously know how bad offensive tackle depth is right now in the league with all the stuff that we've gone through the past couple of years of the Dan Skipper, exactly, and Manu and all that. And this is why, because one injury on the tackle position and you're starting Cornelius Lucas or KT Leviston, who I do remember watching in his draft cycle, because obviously he used to play next to one of my favourite guard prospects in that draft class at TCU. So I've seen him, and yeah, it's not good. Conklin, obviously, him getting hurt and only 20 snaps really hurts them, because if they at least had him, some stability in that one tackle position, they could maybe handle it. But because they're having to bounce between different people and it's a fast drop off, it does affect them. Batonio is still grading out really well. He's 73.6, as you said. But yeah, because then suddenly Teller is having a cycle of people next to him, his play's dropped off. And then because suddenly they're having to deal with stuff, at least just a one-on-one with rushers, and that means his grade drops off because they don't have that stability. The whole offensive line falls apart. It's like the inverse of us, where week 1 we had the stability at the tackle positions, but because we're bedding in new interior pieces, tackles feel like they have to compensate a bit, and it leads to issues. They're kind of like the inverse of that for it, which at least we know how to play upon. We know Hutch's record last year going up against backup tackles, and hopefully with the way that AQM burst onto the scene last week in the national media, he'll be able to take prey on the others. Barnes will be able to get some, and the interior then we can just stick DJ Reader, Tyleek and Roy Lopez out there, clog up the middle, force the guards and Pocic to deal with them and just leave the one-on-ones for the edge rushers, and they can feast on the absolute statue that is Joe Flacco.
Yeah, it's obviously a big talking point for this week, especially with the Sac City party bus filling up beyond numbers that it can barely carry recently. It is a big glaring hole there for the Browns, but again, the interior is one that you've got to be careful on. It can bite you. Right, moving on to the defensive depth chart here. You can probably correct me on this. Obviously, our lad says they play a base 4-3. Is that correct? Is that what they do?
45. So
they play the 4-2-5. So in terms of the defensive line, starters here: Isaiah McGuire, Malik Collins, Mason Graham, and Myles Garrett. Of course, the strength of this team and what is noticeable: 3 of those guys drafted by Cleveland. Like our offensive line is built entirely of our own draft picks, this defensive line is summarily built out of those. Isaiah McGuire came out of Missouri 2-3 years ago now. I loved watching him. I wanted us to take a pop on him at one stage. He is starting to break out as the guy we knew he could become. 11 pressures, a sack, 2 QB hits, 8 pressures on the year, 7 tackles, 5 run stops for him. He is holding up the edge opposite Myles Garrett to a very satisfactory level right now. And then on the interior, Malik Collins, bought in from San Francisco last year in the free agency market. He's the second highest graded player on this team currently with a 90.8 PFF grade, 10 total pressures, 2 sacks, 1 hit, 7 hurries, 3 tackles and 3 run stops for him. Obviously on the other side of him, Mason Graham, absolute star coming out of Michigan, and he is finding life in the NFL pretty good on this offensive line. He's at 6 pressures on the year so far with a sack, 5 QB hurries. He's got 10 tackles, 4 run stops as well. And then the standout of them all, Myles Garrett, he is at a 91.4 PFF grade this year. He's already at 5 sacks. He's got 14 total quarterback pressures, 12 tackles, 11 run stops, and just an absolute menace. There is nothing this guy can't do, but most of these elite units you see in the NFL, Ash, are guys who have been drafted by their team with a team dynamic, with a team philosophy, with the players they look for, and with having an absolute star on there, picks from a couple of years ago finally starting to come to their fore, a very experienced veteran coming in out of the market, and then a superstar they've got on the line. This is maybe the fiercest defensive line you are going to face all year. The Browns have done a tremendous job building this line, and as we saw last week, this is a unit that can change a game, it can elevate its team, and it can stop teams getting away from them. It can get turnovers, it can kill quarterbacks. This is the room, and it's been so well built by the Browns.
Oh yeah, 100%, and they've got to take credit for it. They've found either players in the draft or in free agency that fit perfectly in the system. So, as you say, obviously the drafted Myles Garrett managed to keep him around. That's a good centerpiece to build around. McGuire is been good. Alex Wright, who they took in the 3rd round 2022, he's still sticking around even when I called shots at him in the preseason. Cameron Thomas, who we obviously remember, we both liked as that sort of flexible defensive line piece out of San Diego State. They've brought in Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, who, while he's kind of busted out a bit in terms of his draft pedigree, he fits their Y9 system, which I'll come on to in a sec. They've got the right players there, and in the interior, drafting Mason Graham to be that penetrating free tech. They're a Lee McNeil in a way, and then having Malik Collins, who they got from the Niners to be their DJ Reader, sets him up perfectly with their starters, because obviously the whole point of those defensive tackles is keep the interior occupied, so then the wide 9 edge rushers, they can just attack the tackles and drag them out of position, because that's what their entire defensive front is predicated on. So they do that well, and then having Shelby Harris rotating at that sort of nose tackle spot, and then having Mike Holland, UDFA star, who I've put in there because I was hoping we had one of our guests on to sort of wow the fact that we know about this preseason standout who does a bit of everything. He absolutely looked great in the free tech role in preseason for them, an absolute standout doing that section and then playing on special teams and then being their fullback as well, they've got a nice defensive line room that they all know what they're doing. They all do their job and they flow to the ball, which is why they're were able to hold Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs to such low rushing yards, because they just focus on that, and it allows them to get in further longs. And then suddenly Myles Garrett, Maguire, whoever's on the field can pin their ears back and just go after the QB.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a formidable unit, and one we're going to have to put a lot of attention into stopping. Just quickly stopping this briefly, I know Perry has been asking a few questions, so I want to answer some of them because I said we would. Quickly, William Thomason says, is JOK hurt? Yeah, he's out for the year. What was JOK's injury again? It was quite
a shoulder injury.
It's a shoulder injury, but I think they said he could have played this year, but they preferred to go down the route of resting him for the entire season and getting him back ready for next year.
So it was the neck injury he suffered late last season.
I think they said he could have played this year, but they want to protect him, especially with a neck injury. They want to protect him, so they've just ruled him out for the season, and they've said get ready for 2026. So yeah, he is hurt there. Perry Ball goes, at Ash and Antony, if a player is injured for the season, can a team roll over their cap hit onto next season's cap? No, they cannot. No. You can't roll over. The only cap you can roll over in a season is cap you don't spend. And even to that point, there's only so much of your cap you can't not spend, if you get me right. You've got a lower limit. So for injuries or anything, no, you've got to suck it up, buttercup, as they say. So yeah, you can't roll over money if a player gets hurt. And usually there's injury guarantees in a contract, so you can't get out of paying them, basically.
Yeah, so the only stuff you roll over technically is if they have the bonuses in there. So let's say when they sign their contract, based on their play before, they were projected to play 10 out of the 17 games, but they only play 4. That's also a little wedge of the likely to be earned bonuses that they did not earn will then get added back to your cap at the end of the season. But anything that's guaranteed, the base salary kind of stuff, you have to pay. It's only those little bonus things that you can get out of.
There's 2 abbreviations for them, but there are bonuses which are expected to be earned and not expected to be earned. Yeah. Not expected to be earned bonuses that are reached can be rolled over to the second year, because they're not expected to be part of your cap this year. The expected ones are because they are expected to be part of your cap this season. That's how that works. But for injuries, you can't roll anything over. Hope that answers that one there for you. In terms of the linebacker room, again, blend of experience and recent draft picks. The 2 vets in the room come from opposite sides of the big battle in the Big Ten. Devin Bush out of Michigan and Jerome Baker out of Ohio State, mixing them in with Momo Diabate, who was drafted the other year out of Utah. Absolute stud, loved him in the draft. And then of course Carson Schwessinger this year, my guilty pick I wanted the Lions to get this year. For me, I thought he was a better version of Jack Campbell. He's that kind of guy. He's going to be an absolute monster for this defense. And Carson Schwessinger has started this season with a bang. A sack, a hit, QB pressure, 21 tackles, just 2 missed, 8 run stops. He's only given up 5 of 7 on receptions. Devin Bush is the 3rd highest rated player on this team. He's got an 88 grade. He's got a sack, a hit, 18 tackles, just 2 missed tackles, 9 run stops as well. He's got 2 pass breakups in coverage as well. In terms of the others, Diabate has not played that much this year. They've just been using the 2 guys. Jerome Baker has played in rotation, but in terms of the starters, Bush and Schwessinger, we talk about the front 4 on the defensive line being great at getting to the quarterback and that, but what they've done is they've got 2 guys behind that front 4 who, when they need to, they can bring, like, these are do-it-all guys. They will bring them up, they will blitz them, they will use them in all sorts of packages, but fundamentally these are guys who tackle well, who do all the fundamental parts of the game well. This is a good linebacker room backing up this front 4. It's not just the defensive line, it's these 2 behind it. They don't miss tackles, they contribute in all phases of the game, and it's not just this front 4 you're facing, it's this front 6, and you've got to be very careful of them.
Yeah, definitely. So Schwarzenegger, as you said, what a sort of breakout he is in terms of early in the rookie season, just hitting the ground running, which is so hard for rookie linebackers, as we damn well know with Jack Campbell. Like, sometimes it can happen, Malcolm, but for most time, linebackers just don't work out until year 3, year 4. So for Schresinger to come in, have to assume a starting role because of the JOK injury, and just be damn good at it, just shows the level of coaching they have there. And then Devin Bush, who, was a bust, drafted in the first round out of Michigan by the Steelers, never really worked out there. He comes over eventually to the Browns, and now he's lighting up. He's one of the highest graded linebackers in the league. His coverage, which was his big sort of thing that just wasn't working in Pittsburgh, the 85.4 grade, like, he's playing really damn well. The only knock on him so far is he's missed 10% of his tackles. Like, everything else is pretty damn good, and it's going to be difficult, like, to not only run the ball on them because of that defense line and knees being able to do their run fits really well. Both have got run defense grades above 74, but also because these guys can cover. So, spoiler alert for my own preview tomorrow, the Gibbs and Lamport are probably not going to have a good day in the passing game on Sunday, which also comes to their safeties, which we'll get on to in a minute. They're going to have difficult days. It's going to have to come down to the receivers because the run game might be hard to get going initially. And if Laporta and Gibbs can't get much going in the pass game because they're covered by damn good linebackers and safeties, it is going to have to come down to our receivers to get the chains moving initially, to soften up that defense, to open it up for everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. They are. In terms of the secondary, we'll go to the safeties first. You mentioned them there, but Ronnie Hickman Jr., draft pick out of Ohio State a couple of years ago, he's having a really good season so far, grading up at 76 so far, been meticulous as a tackler, pretty good in coverage. He's been targeted 6 times, just given up 3 receptions for 21 yards. And then Grant Delpit, he's got an 81 grade now. He is an absolute run mauling specialist. Grant Delpit is. He is experienced in this league. He's now in year 5, the former LSU Tiger, their second round pick. And after having sort of a mediocre rookie contract so far there, he's really come to the fore. They just really play the 2 safeties. Rayshawn Jenkins has seen 40 snaps here, but again, we're sort of seeing that mix at all levels of defense of experience and youth here, and this safety pairing have been really good for them. And we saw last week Grant Delpit, the pick, switched this game for them. So, throwing down the field at this pair and trying to run on them as well is not easy.
Oh yeah, it definitely isn't, and that sucks because throwing down, like, as I say, they like to play him in the box. Both have got really good run defense grades. Like, Delpit's is needing 90 in run defense, Hickman's 70.5. Both are good in tackling. Like you say, Hickman's only missed 1 tackle, so 10%. Delpit's half that, 5.6%. They can both cover really well. They just fly around the ball like they are. I know, obviously, we have the best safety duo in the league. The Ravens have number 2. The Browns actually have a real good shout to be number 3 on that list, which, for a team that's doing so badly, is kind of surprising. I know, obviously, we had it with Kirby and Branch a couple of years ago when we were really coming up, but they have good guys. And then Kazee, who, has only played 2 snaps, but that's as a single high. He's able to come in and do some coverage. He's been there, done that. God, I remember when he was first free agent out of Atlanta, Matt wanted him to be a rotational piece on our thing. And then Rayshawn Jenkins is a good box safety, 40 snaps. Run defense has been a bit of an issue, supposedly, but his tackling's good and his coverage good. That's the safety was going to be so hard to play against. And the fact is, they do like to play a lot of these kind of cover 1, cover 3s that will have Delpit and Hickman rotating between them, so it's going to be hard for Goff to read. And with the pressure becoming faced from the linebackers and from the defensive line, it has got to be on Goff to make the right reads, read the defense well, and get the ball where it needs to go. Because we can't have what Love did last week. Though Goff is 100 times much better processor than Love was in that game. Give them one chance, and they're like our safeties. They'll make the play on the ball, and we don't want to give them that opportunity because that's how Green Bay kept him in the game. That's how they were in the game for most of the time against Cincinnati. And then with the Ravens even, which is a vastly better team, they were in it for so long because these safeties played so well. They could take away the deep shots that the Ravens like to do, and they could defend against the run, load up the box against Henry. It made it really hard for Lamar for the most part.
Well done, Ash. You've just said that Goff's better than Love. We're going to get inundated with crazy Packers fans now telling us how stupid we are, even though we know it's them who's stupid.
My karma's already happened, don't you worry.
And then looking at the last room, the corners, and we're looking for a weakness on this team, on this defense. And now, PFF graded wise, they seem to think the corners are the ones not having the good year. So we play 3 corners here. Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome on the outside, and then their nickel, Miles Harden, the former South Dakota Coyote, only in his second year. The FCS standout has worked his way into this team. Denzel Ward, 8 tackles on the year, but 5 missed. He's sporting a 40% missed tackle rate so far. 6 receptions given up on 10 targets for 53 yards with a couple of PBUs. Greg Newsome, obviously former high-level draft pick, he's having a little bit of a better year. 15 tackles, just 1 missed, couple of run stops, but he's 9 of 12 in coverage for 108 yards and just 1 pass breakup. And as for Miles Harden, 6 tackles on the year, not missed a single one. He's been perfect. 3 run stops, but he's 9 of 12 for 111 yards and 1 pass breakup in coverage. And, the coverage numbers, PFF numbers tell a story, but we kind of have to use these for some of the other teams. But what it's showing you so far is this is where the weak link has been. There are 2 very experienced guys in there in Newsome and Ward. Obviously, you've got a young nickel in there who's kind of been putting them to shame in some aspects of the game, but not many turnovers through the air. The turnovers from this team traditionally come from that defensive line and fumbles and turnovers on downs and stuff like that, whereas if you air it out of these guys, keep it out the ways of the safety, they are vulnerable.
Yeah, well, fun fact since you just mentioned it. Yeah, the Browns' defense, as good as it is, has only forced 1 turnover so far this season. And that was to pick on Jordan Love last week. Which, isn't great. But yeah, that's why, in the preview, literally the first section I say in the introduction, I'm not going to talk about defensive line versus offensive line, that's boring, everyone said it. The first one I looked at is these corners because there's ways to get at them. So Miles Harden, their slot corner, great in run defense, as you said, has not missed a tackle, not great in coverage. And I know I even contradict myself a bit with it by saying I'm literally at the forefront right now. Well, as you know, because obviously I discussed it, at the forefront of Amon-Ra is not just a slot receiver argument, because there's still people out there that use that against him as why he should not be in the top tiers of NFL wide receivers. When we go into 11 and it's Amon-Ra in the slot, he is going to have Miles Harden on toast because he just can't cover, unfortunately. He has given up a passer rating of 130.9 so far this season. That's not good.
Oh,
and in that, yeah, exactly. Like, people rag on Terrian. I don't think Terrian's given up that passer rating so far. So puts it in a bit of perspective. And then the others, Denzel Ward is good. Like, he is a really good corner in his day, but obviously doesn't do good in the run defense, and he can be got at, as you said. So the good news as well is where he traditionally lines up, that's where JMO lines up. So you're going to have speed on speed, kind of like last week where we had Wiggins versus JMO quite a lot of the time. Speed on speed. Ward doesn't have to go tackling, so all it needs is JMO to have that route running that he's developed, so get that 1 yard of separation, get the ball, and he can get all the yards after catch because he'll break Ward's tackles. And then Newsome will face up against either Khalif, who is, well, he's having a bad day in special teams, can run block like hell, and is fast, can get open deep, or be going up against Tesla, and Tesla has 3-4 inches of height advantage and the speed on Newsome. So there will be ways of getting the ball out quick against these corners to Amon-Ra, to Tesla, to Khalif, and to JMO, and just let them get yards after the catch, because that's where their big weakness is. Because and it plays into the sort of our overall offensive game plan, because if we want to game plan around that defensive line, is get the ball out quick, don't let the pressure come in quickly, get in Goff's face and making forced turnovers. Just get the ball out quickly to the receivers and trust them to get the yards after catch, which again might sound boring. It might look a bit like week 1 where the Packers were forcing us to do that, but the Packers, for as much as we rag on them, their corners are better than this, and that's saying something when I was really ragging them in week 1 going into the matchup. Their corners are playing well in this game this year. Browns corners aren't doing as well. They could easily have a bounce back game for sure, but the way that they're playing right now, there are ways we can exploit them.
Yeah, absolutely we can. And then finishing it off with Ash's favourite part of NFL teams, the special teams units. The punter, Corey Bojorquez, obviously formerly of Chicago, I believe. His 13 punts for 611 yards this year. Yards per average is 47. The net is 38. In terms of the kicking, Andre Schmidt is their kicker. He's 4 of 5 on extra points and 4 of 5 on field goals, but he's nailed everything from 40 yards longer this year. However, we look at the kickoffs here with this team. He has 11 kickoffs this year. 9 of them have been returned for 227 yards. Teams are averaging just over 25 yards of return against him, and he's only had 2 touchbacks so far. So a bit of a weakness there in terms of the kick returners for them themselves. DeAndre Carter, their wide receiver, he has returned 6 kicks for 145 yards with a long of 30. He's averaging 25 yards this year. Jerome Ford has returned 4 for 81 at over 20 yards, and Caden Davis has returned 1 as well. So good punter, good kicker for the most part, but there's some little bits on there. They've got some good kick returners, but they're giving opportunities for teams to return kicks on them, and it just so happens we've got some good returners on our team, and maybe a part of this that we can exploit a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, as you mentioned, and to sort of broaden out as well, like Schmidt has had some issues on kickoffs, as far as I believe. Like, there's a reason why going into last week they were already a bit down on him. So, yeah, 45 kickoff grade from PFF, most of them returnable, touchbacks, like, just not good at all. And the punting, you mentioned, slightly better, but hopefully, given the punt return unit so far, as mentioned on the review show, Khalif needs something just to kick him into gigs, going a lot of east-west, not a lot of north-south, actually getting yards. Hopefully this is the game where we can break him out of it. And then, of course, it's me here. We've got to talk about long snappers, and it's middle of the pack. On my infamous ranking of long snappers in 2025, he did come in at 15th out of 32. So, not too shabby, but, not also great. So hopefully he can skew up a snap or two on like a field goal or something, just to help us along, because Schmidt has already got a bit shaky on that. As mentioned, he missed a chip shot field goal in week 1 that would have won them the game, because obviously lost by 1, that would have gone 3. He's 4 or 5 on extra points, 4 or 5 on field goals, but obviously that miss on the chip shot between 30 and 39 yards. There are ways to get him at here, and we can do it. We can definitely do it. And their special teams unit is not exactly the greatest. Currently ranked in the league as the 19th. So they're equitable roughly with the Bears, who are 20th. We're 13th, but we saw how good we were, and some of the, especially the kick returns against the Ravens, who were 9th. So there's definitely, as you said, there's definitely ways to get, hopefully. It'll probably be Craig back there with Jacob Sailors. Please don't put Graduate back there, Phip, I beg you. Just get us to the 30. Get us to 30. Get a couple of first downs, and as Jeremy rightly pointed out on Twitter today, even if we still want after a couple of first downs, hopefully by then we'll be in Jacob Bates' field goal range. And given Dan's comments after the game against the Ravens, if it's the right situation, he will not be opposed to letting Jacob Bates kick it from long rather than punting or trying on a 4th down. There's ways we can, even on special teams, just get that little edge that we need sometimes, because we also do kind of need to get right again. As we said, we need the coverage to be better, and hopefully they're working on it, though. Product Detroit didn't answer my question on the mailbag about that, so I guess I'm going to have to ask them next week if we don't sort it out.
Well, it's a good job you have your own podcast, so you can give your own answer on there. Like screw them. Like, you know, if they're not going to answer your questions, you can answer them here yourself. The one thing they do have going for them on special teams, and I hate to break this up because I know it's a bugbear of yours this year, they've got a solitary 2 penalties on special teams this year. We have 8.
Yeah.
So, they don't give away many penalties there. But that is the Browns team as we figure to go with this week. So, you know, we want to talk a little bit about the Lions now, potentially what they're going to do here. And I realise I didn't go through the in and out personnel here for them this year, but we kind of been through this roster already. So we'll leave that there as a moot thing. So, in terms of the matching the matchups for this game that we're going to be looking at, I know we've got some talking points in here as well. Obviously the rookie impact of this Browns team, the rookies are seeing a lot of snaps this year. Graham has 147, Schlesinger 194, Judkins has 56 and he's missed a game. Fanning's got 168, Sampson has 67, Dylan Gabriel's had 7, and then the UDFA is playing on special teams hell of a lot. Huntington has 82, Massarenas Arnold has 56, McMillan has 55, and Bond has 97. So rookies are they're propping up this team as it stands. But we need to look at the main matchups here. And of course, the one everybody is going to be talking about is obviously our offense against this Browns defensive line. And this is not as simple, because when you come up against a good pass rush and when you come up against a unit that's really good like that, the obvious answer is run the ball well and take that part of the game outside of their reach and negate the pass rush. The only trouble is you're coming up against a line which run blocks as well as it pass rushes, and you know, we saw with the Packers they were just not able to find a way through against them this week. And obviously this is a big matchup for us, but we have a diverse host of weapons. We have a lot at our disposal. We have our bully ball tactics on display. We're going to give them as good as they get, but with a younger offensive line, which is still gelling and will still have its moments here. So, you know, when we're looking at what our offense has got to do to negate this front six, I mean, what are for you the keys here of how we can win the battle that's going to win or lose us this game, really? It comes down to this pretty much.
It's got to come down to the big bugbear in week 1, which was the communication. We need to make, I know it's at our own turf, in our own crowd, so we should be able to get the communication. It's making sure that we get into the right calls. It's communicated to all the right players and that they all are on the same page, because if one person has a missed assignment, we're done for. And
we're picking Goff up off the floor.
Yeah, just like FSU are right now. But it's just, we've got to make sure, that we do it. And the thing is, you look at their defense, and the thing that won us last week against the pretty good Ravens offense was the gap, sort of going to gap as we mentioned, and we're probably not going to be able to do as much of that this week. They're good against gap, unfortunately. They know what they're doing. We've just got to make sure that wherever we do, we commit to it, and we use both backs. We've got to use Monty to soften them up, but we've also got to use Gibbs to sort of keep them honest as well. It's about making sure that rotation's healthy, they both stay in the game, they both get their touches. Hell, you calling it for it last week, get JMO involved as well, attack those outsides, because that's their big bugbear, as you said, and their run defense has actually been their corners. So if we can attack them, attack the outsides, we might be able to get a bit. But it's just, keep it varied, find a concept that works, and then start smashing it like we did against the Ravens. Because if we go away from the run, let them make us one-dimensional, the game might be lost.
You know what? I didn't think I'd ever say this in my life ever, but if there's going to be one time when you're going to start utilising it, this might be the chance to start using your screens. You start matching up on these weaker cornerbacks who are coming up to the line of scrimmage, who are going to come up against guys who are going to block them really well. You get some of your playmakers out in motion and get them out behind this. Or you use JMO on the end arounds and you similarly go for the edge. I feel like you have to attack the perimeters here, and you've got to get your plays out there because you want to pick on these corners, you want to drag the safeties out of position, therefore making some room down the field for you to start taking some throws there. But I think for me, you've got to target these guys, and for that, like, I think our receivers' blocking ability against these corners who are struggling, I feel like that might be the crucial little bit for us.
Yeah, definitely. And luckily for us, as we rightly pointed out on Wednesday and yesterday, it then came out, we have the best trio of wide receivers in the league for run blocking. So if we do want to attack those outsides, boy, have we got the personnel in it. And that's even without including Tesla in that, who hasn't had too many snaps of that, but, you know, gives ball his commit to it. He could be a good piece in that as well. So hell, if we need to do some of that sort of like 4 wide stuff where we have Gibbs or Monty in the backfield and have 4 receivers and attack them that way, because they won't expect it. They'll expect 4 receivers on the field. They're just going to try and pass the ball, and suddenly, you hand it off to Gibbs and he's gone. Like, it's those little things, those little edges we need to get on their corners, on their run defense, because that is the bread and butter of this offense. As we saw time and time again, how going back to that Carolina game a couple of years ago, teams take away the run game from us, it does make it really hard for us to get the pass game going.
I do fancy the use of the Maryland trip system again, where you're going to drag especially the linebackers. If you're going to line 3 up in the backfield and you're going to start spreading them out, you're going to start dragging these linebackers out of position, potentially making some room in the middle of that field to attack the middle of it as well. This is why I think we're so suited to playing them, because yes, they are a great defense. I'm not going to undermine them for one single moment, but I think there's so much we can do to get them off their front foot and put them on the defensive. But yeah, I would be looking at screens, or I'd be looking at using JMO's speed on the end arounds, and I would be using that trip system in the run game like crazy. In terms of the player, which Lions player on offense is going to be the one that cracks them open? Obviously it's always a team effort, but you kind of feel like you're going to need somebody to shine to crack this particular tough nut. Who is it? Who is the guy who moves the chains or breaks them open, or who does it have to be for you?
Amon-Ra. Because in the passing game, he's got the best matchup with Harden. If we're in 11 personnel, use him on the critical downs, just let him do his thing. But then also, as we mentioned, just the run blocking as well. Like, I know currently JMO is ranking higher than him in the run blocking in PFF, but that was one of Amon-Ra's calling cards as well, is the run blocking, using him like we did in some of the plays against the Ravens, where you get him coming in and doing that sort of pin and pull, and then you can build off that, like we did for the 4th down conversion, where it looks like he's run blocking, and oh shit, now he's gone behind the coverage and he's got a big gain. That's the kind of stuff we need. It's got to be Amon-Ra.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I think he's the technician that breaks open the tough nuts, and I think he's the one you go to there. But we've got that many guys, but it does feel like he's primed for a big game. I mean, it doesn't feel like he's had a big game for a little while now. Not that he's not important to us, but, you know, every now and then he just has that one to remind you just how good he is. And Wizard of War says the 3rd down merchant. Oh, he's talking about Laporta, but he is. A 3rd down merchant's a good thing. If all they do is convert 3rd downs, then, you know, sign me up. I will take them on that team. So offensively, I think we certainly have the weapons to be able to crack them open here. And of course, then that makes things easier for the defense. I think if you put a 20 spot up on these Browns, you're gonna win. Let's be honest, they've not passed 20 points this year so far. You just need to get to that point, start hot. In terms of defense, the matchups here now, obviously, talent is one thing. The other thing is confidence and belief. And what we're not processing here as part of this is what last week's win will have done for the belief of the Cleveland Browns. I mean, you know, when you're losing games, no matter how you're losing them, whether they're close or they're big, it's demoralising, it's soul-sapping. To win the game the way you did last week, when you had been useless for 3/4 of this game, they still snapped out of it and did deliver in the clutch moment. So there is something there for them. And obviously our Lions defence has been tested so far. We've had some issues in coverage. We've had some communication issues in the secondary. We've had times where the defensive line has, again, against the Packers, it struggled a little bit just to take advantage of these matchups, although it's been better recently. What, for you, do the Lions really need to do on defense just to keep these guys quiet and stop them from really breaking out?
It goes against what we've actually been doing, but play a lot of man for two reasons. One, it's what Arnold is good at, and I know obviously the move to zone has helped in a lot of ways, but it maybe has hindered him a bit to play a bit more man. But number two, their skill position players aren't doing that well. Like Jerry Jeudy was taken as a high draft pick, supposed to be all this good thing. He's been shocking for the Browns this season. Like Cedric Tillman, I do really like him, but he hasn't been used that much. Their leading receiver right now is Fannin, and he's got 150 yards. If we just stay in man, stay close to them, and force Flacco to throw into tight windows, we're going to force turnovers off that. And then it also means that if we start taking away their sort of weapons in the pass game, it means they have to go to the run game. And if we're loading up their centre like we always do, we know our defensive line is predicated on run defense first, then pass rush. It starts forcing them into worse and worse situations, force them some mistakes. And then what happened last week where we could start forcing fumbles then in the run game as well. It can all build on that. So it's just stay close to their playmakers, play more man, which might actually help Terrion bounce out of his funk as well. I know obviously there's the thing that Amik will be rotating in a bit more often just to get him time, because obviously we don't play nickel that much. But just that might just help his confidence, just getting a couple of PBUs, staying close to his man, not giving up the big plays, and it will really help.
Yeah, I think absolutely. That for me is the same. I think you've got to keep Judkins quiet. He's the one who can move the chains and put Flacco in situations where, he needs a little less time to throw. The routes open up a little quicker. They start moving the chains on you. That really, to me, feels like the big thing with them. Because obviously Quinshon's going to be doing big. And what they're going to do is they're going to run him through that interior, right? They're three more reliable, trusty guys in the middle. You figure they're probably going to bring in a fullback or a second running back, put an extra blocker in and try and start running him through Reader and Ty League. So I think in terms of talking about vital players in this game, I think they're going to be the two for me, because if you shut that down, I don't think they have the firepower through the air to threaten us. I mean, obviously, going on to the big key to this game in a moment, we'll also tie this off in a bow. But you've got to keep Quinshon Judkins quiet. You do that, everything else works in your favour. And I think more importantly, you've got to put points on the board. As I say, put a big enough lead up that you don't give this offense hope. Like, that offense only did what it did because the defense gave it a chance to. They would not have manufactured that win themselves. Obviously, they got a short field from the interception as well. So I think, we play clean football. Don't give them too much good field possession. You do that for them. And I agree with you. I think with Arnold, you've got to let him get a bit loose here. Hell, I might even bring him up and try and get him some action in the backfield as well. Just get some big plays. Like, this is an argument I'm tired of having. You can go to Twitter, our Twitter, and it's one of the more recent tweets I've had on there defending Terrion, and the place is like a war zone. It's an absolute war zone, and I'm just going to go on record, and I will say it on here as well. I think Terrion Arnold is getting the Jameson Williams treatment right now from all those JMO haters who've kind of been shown a bit red in the face, who've gone and hidden under their rocks, and they're looking for a new target here at this point. I think Terrion's taken on that mantle that JMO had, and people have said to me it's not the same with JMO and Terrion, and in circumstances, no, but JMO's attitude problem is what Terrion's coverage problem is. People have big beef with this. They're not taking the whole thing into account. People said JMO had a bad attitude, which was just not true. And it never was true. It was just by some of the actions he did, and people used to get it in. But in Terrion's case, I mean, we spoke about this the other day. Asked to play more man coverage in the league than any other cornerback in his first year. on a defense that's got 20 players on IR or something stupid like that, whatever he was. What are we expecting here? He's got no vested vet next to him. He's got, you got safety help, but you're not getting much help. You're asked to do a lot on an island. Of course, you're going to struggle in your first year, and then you're just asked to change your system completely in year 2. The guy has played 19 games, and to be going after him at the rate we are now, for me, seems folly. And I think he's just picked up the mantle of, the beat writers got after him early last year, and what people say lingers. Like these people in important positions who go after these players and start making summarily judgments on them. People remember that, and then they're like, oh yeah, they used to have a go at him last year, he's still not good, let's do it again. But I think we just all need to cool it on Terrian. It's come out that Amik's going to play more this week, fine, but don't go after him for it. Let's support him. He's our player. He's going to be our star cornerback of the future. And we've seen with JMO, support these guys, lift them up, and they will get to where they're going to go. And I think Terrion's just on that route at the minute. And you can't rule him out after 3 games of his second year.
Yeah, and if you don't believe Ant, just listen to what Shep said about him in his press conference.
Yeah.
Pure and simple. If the defensive coordinator has come out and basically said that it's bullshit, like with the Ravens game, because of the way we were playing our defense, he was playing without safety help over the top for most of that game. He was one-on-one with their receivers, and as we all know, because I posted it, I think literally earlier today, about 4 hours ago, the clip of him getting a DPI. So fucking FSU giving him a touchdown.
What's the
that
score?
That was a bang-bang. 13-0. 2 fumbles for the FSU. We are fucking shit. It's about 2024 for me. Yay!
I'm sorry. What was that having a go at me and Ryan for picking Virginia in the pick watch before we went on air? I
didn't have a go. I just said I've seen you pick them. Their stentors out, and I didn't expect our offense to fumble twice.
Well, that's what you get when you play scrubs like Kent State and that in your.
Fumble twice. The second time it's overturned because he's not completed the catch, and then Tommy C throws his first interception in the end zone.
That's what happens when you play scrub non-con schedule. So
Oh, I didn't know that Alabama was scrubs.
Are they not? Are you saying Alabama are good?
I mean, ever since we've played them, they've been pretty damn good.
Yeah, because they've been played scrub non-cons. Anyhow, back to point. I can't remember where we were at. Terrion.
Terrion, yeah.
Yeah.
Just let him, corner sometimes it takes them a couple of years. We can't all be Sources and Steric Stinkleys who have good rookie years. And hell, Source hasn't been good since his rookie year.
I think it's you know what? I do genuinely think there's a little bit of trauma amongst our fan base, amongst our corner picks. People remember Akuda, and people with Akuda, but Akuda, for one, was hurt all the time. Terrion has been healthy for the most part here, and he's a young kid, so, let's back Terrion. And that's all we'll say on that for now. If he's still struggling at the end of the year, then we'll see. But at this point, are you betting against Brad's draft picks at this point? They all generally find their way there eventually. Some just take a bit longer than others. So, anywho, we'll move on. We've talked about what the offense needs to do, what the defense needs to do. And I think just in general as a game theme here, the critical point here, Ash, is getting the lead. Putting them in a position where that offense can't dig itself out of the hole it's made for itself. I think that's the thing here. You put up a 20 spot, you put all the pressure back on them, you can kind of go to town. For me, that feels like the first key to victory. Get 20, maybe 25, and then afterwards everything else will follow on.
Yeah, it's the exact opposite of what the game plan was last week, which was keep the Ravens within touching distance. With this, it's get out of touching distance as soon as you can. So if we do get the turnovers, don't do what we've done the past couple of weeks, not capitalise on them. Every drive, as much as we can. I know obviously the Browns defense forces 3 and outs on 50% of their drives faced, which is mad. But then if they get past that sort of 3 and out stage, they give up scoring plays on 23.6% of their drives that they face, which is up there, which is one of the worst sort of rates in the league in terms of being a defense. It's about getting that initial chain mover in the first, sort of get that first down, slowly going through their defense, and then capitalise. Even if it is you stall on their 30-yard line, you kick a field goal, just consistently make sure you're putting up the points, because they won't be able to keep up. The distance between their offense and our defense is a lot more than the distance between their defense and our offense. So as long as we just keep putting the points up, they're going to put themselves in a hole.
Oh yeah, like the distances are absolutely massive here. Are there any other key things you've got? Any sort of themes that you think are going to define this game, or do you reckon we've just about covered everything?
Don't get the stupid penalties. Be it the kickoffs, be it the holds on returns, be it the low blocks that are kind of bullshit. Just those, those stupid little penalties that just give them an extra couple of yards or set us to halfway to our own goal line of returns. Little stuff like that. Just try and play clean as football as we can, because that could be that could be one way they keep themselves in it, is they play more disciplined football than us. They don't give up those like 5 yards for full starts or whatever we do, and suddenly they're gaining an advantage on us. They're gaining yards, they're gaining points, and that could be a little edge that gives them some stuff to play. Some nice clean football, and hopefully Jared Goff doesn't do a Mason Rudolph and say some things to Garrett, because I don't want to see Goff's head beaten with a helmet after he's just had a kid.
See, the thing is, want to see that. When Jordan Love got hit last week, not one single of his offensive linemen came to help him. I think if Garrett laid a finger on Jared, he would have 5 guys rugby scrumming him to the ground and beating him within an inch of his life, starting with Penei Sewell. So, and
then Demo would just be standing over him cackling.
Exactly. You will have 5 very nasty, grisly offensive linemen up in your grill if you even go anywhere near him. But I think that's it. And more importantly, like I said, be professional in this game. Give the Browns all the respect they deserve. And they do deserve respect. They're all NFL players. They're where they're at. But then just go out and just show that you're more talented than them. That's what you got to do here. And if they have a little rally, this might be one of those games where they maybe get an opening touchdown drive. They get a little bit frisky. They make a stop on defense. Don't let it dishearten you. Like everybody else, just beat them down over time, and eventually you'll crack them open. Just to quickly mention this to Lisa, and I know, Lisa, you have mentioned this before about moving Terrion back to nickel, and that he's played some of his best football there. The argument itself is perfectly sound and fine. The only thing I have here with this is, as we've mentioned, Terrion played in man last year a lot and was asked to learn that. He's now playing in zone. He's been asked to learn that a lot. Moving him to nickel means then he's learning an entire... Well, I know he's played there, but he's adapting to a brand new position in the NFL, and he's going to take time to adapt. I don't want to keep moving around his scheme, his position, and not allow him to settle in one spot. For me personally, I would rather rough the ride out at outside corner and give him time to adapt to this scheme than move his position again and, force him to a third major change in what he's doing in such a short amount of time. I get the argument entirely. I do. That's just would be my pushback on there. I don't want to move him again.
I won't say it as eloquently as Eric did on the Pride of Detroit mailbag, but I point the listeners to Eric and Jeremy's answer on this exact question, because they asked it on this week's mailbag, and I can see the premise behind it, but what we demand of our nickels is not what Terrion has. The reason that Amika is so good at our nickel, even though he wants to be an outside corner, is he's quick and he can tackle and he can sort of run defend really well. While Terrion can definitely run defend, there have been times he's given up the edge on some stuff. I think back to the Seattle and the Vikings games last year. And Terrion's thing is more long speed than short area quickness, so putting him in the nickel in our system would be a disservice. Plus, yes, that exact thing about moving him to a nickel is forcing him to learn a new position, which is a whole thing. That's what we tried to do with Rakestraw. It didn't work, so we dialed it back. When he was healthy, we then tried to teach him outside corner because it just wasn't working in the nickel. Doing the same to Terrion could be dooming him. It's almost like the defensive version of the Colby Sauce doing, where, you're not doing great at tackle, so let's try you at guard. You've kind of got to let him settle, and it's. So we've said it very, very briefly, and obviously Eric and Jeremy have I think they've pulled up some of the stats and that obviously we can't right now, but I very much heartily point you to that mailbag answer that they had for it, because they do it great. And obviously, you know, most of the shit that I say, at least I'm happy to say, comes from Eric and Jeremy. So
yeah. But yeah, again, get the argument entirely. So, you know, absolutely nothing against that. Again, just personal things with all this, but who knows what they will do with him. Right. The fun part, score predictions, same for all of you in the chat. A cookie for whoever predicts the biggest score the Lions are going to drop on the day, just to make this a little bit fun. But, you know, when all this is said and done, and again, it's not going to be an easy game. It's not going to be a walkover at all. But we are a very good team who can put these kind of, you know, feisty underdogs away. What do you expect the score to be when all is said and done?
I know we have spoke a bit about how we shouldn't underestimate their defense and that, but as you mentioned, they have not hit over 20 this season so far, and I don't see them doing it this week. So I have it currently, and this might change in the next 24 hours less than 24 hours, next 18 hours, shall we say, before I put out my preview. I currently have it as Browns 17, Lions 34.
Ooh, 34-17 to the Lions. Ash has Perry Ball's dropped to 47 in there if we play up to our talent. We need a score for the Browns as well. Is that a 47-0? Me, I'm going to go a little bit more extreme. I am going to say 38-13. But again, I would expect it could be a thing where it's like 21-13 at the half, and they've been a little frisky and they've got where they want to. And then we come out in the second half, we adjust, because if anything, our coordinators are just absolutely fantastically in this league now at half time. And then we come out and absolutely kick their ass in the second half. So I got 38-13. Ash got 34-17, did you say?
Yeah.
Yep. So we've got multiple score Lions wins, but again, you know, we're not looking past them one bit. We know they're going to be tough opposition. So that is everything for the Browns preview. Obviously, you know, keep dropping your score predictions in there. I'll read them out as we go along. But we'll go quickly through the slate. John W says 23-10. Yeah, a win is a win, though. I do not mind that at all. We're going to quickly go through some of the other fixtures at the weekend before we have to get out of here, because Ash has another show to do shortly. We are doing a collab with a Browns fan this week. We've not worked with him before, so we're going to go on his show. Hopefully, we'll have him on at some point in the future. So, one game has happened already, obviously later in the week. The Seahawks beat the Cardinals last night, and of course, me being the idiot I am, kept Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison hooked up in my fantasy football lineup. And though the final stat lines were not too bad, Seahawks won 23-10. The Seahawks go 3-1. The Cardinals go 2-2. I watched it back this morning, and I just sat back and looked at this, and I thought, neither of these teams are doing out this year. This is mid-table fodder type stuff. But the Cardinals continue to disappoint when we thought they might be better this year. And Marvin Harrison, I said he could be a top 3 receiver in the NFL. Good God, that is looking wrong right now.
I mean, I also, in our preseason predictions, predicted the Cardinals to win their division, and it seems that's going out the window because Seattle are answering the questions I had about them, like Sam Darnold.
I think I picked Seattle, so I love that. So
yeah, you're in dreamland there, but yeah, he finally turned it on towards the end where he got the touchdown and that, but yeah, just something's just gone wrong with Marv. Like, I don't know what it is. Is it that he just doesn't care? Is it that he's just not getting put in the right situation? Something's just wrong there, and they've got to sort it out quick, because as much as like Trey McBride right now, as much like Trey Benson as well, who obviously is their lead back now, without Connor, they have lost an element to their offense. So they need someone to pick up the slack, and it should be their wide receiver one, but it's just not. And then for Seattle, fair play, you won the game. Like, Darnold did what he needs to do. It seems close in the end. Like, the Cardinals put 14 in the last quarter. Like, you were high and dry for the most part. You fouled off the Cardinals in their fancy uniform game, though I saw a tweet that says I can't look past now that the Cardinals uniform looks like a tortilla, and now that's stuck in my head as well. I hate it. FSU get interception. As FSU get an interception, that's just type of the game. But yeah, I saw that tweet and it's got stuck in. It's like the thing, for the clip I mentioned on the last podcast with the bar thing as well. That's in our Discord. So if you want to watch that, that's in our Discord. Join our Discord. But yeah, fair play to Seahawks. You've proven me wrong.
All right, lovely. Right, we're going to go through the other games and we'll pick our winners and we'll do the spreads here and stuff like that. So tomorrow, we've got an NFL game tomorrow. The Island game, the first ever game on the Emerald Isle at 2:30 our time, so that would make it about 9:30 in the morning for all you over there in America, and even earlier for those of you out on the West Coast, as we've had a couple more score predictions. Perry Ball says 21-6, Wizard of War says 31-10. Maybe we should go who's got the lowest score prediction for the Browns, because nobody is going high at all. But yeah, we've got the Minnesota Vikings technically at the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it is a neutral game overseas. The Vikings favoured by 2.5 and an over-under of just 40.5 points. So they're expecting this to be low scoring. They're expecting it to be dirty and physical, but they've got the Vikings as favourites. Do you agree? Do you think the Vikings will win, or are the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers going to cause an upset in Ireland?
I can't believe I'm going to do this. AA Rod gets one. There's been some key ruling outs for the Vikings, and as much as I have had to put TJ Hawkinson into my fantasy team, the Steelers they've got it right now, and they're not having to be on their backup quarterback, and they've got some ties there. It's their kind of homecoming game, so I can see the Vikings struggling this week, and then next week when they play their London game be a bit better. But yeah, close game, but the Steelers just edge it.
Yep,
I hate it.
The stink of the Vikings is going to be on this side of the pond for the next 2 weeks. I think the Steelers will win this one as well, and I think they will hit that over. The LA Chargers are on the road to the New York Giants, and as a road team, they are 6-point favourites for this with an over-under of 43.5. I'm going to tell you right now, Chargers are going to win this by 40 because I've left Justin Herbert on my bench. I don't know what I was thinking, not playing Herbert against the Giants. They're probably going to absolutely kill them. Do you agree Chargers going to kill the Giants?
Yes, I do.
And it's Jackson Dart's debut weekend. Malik Neighbors catching passes from his 6th quarterback in just his 19th NFL game, which must be some sort of record. Browns-Lions, that's a 10-point swing. I don't think there's going to be... Oh, yes, there is a bigger points differential this week, but we'll get there in a minute. The Philly Eagles on the road to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in what could be a game of the week scenario. Bucs and the Eagles both pulling victory from the jaws of defeat last week. Which one of them is going to win this week, though? Eagles at the Bucs. This could low-key be a banger, as we say over here.
With Lane Johnson coming back to practice and seemingly going to play, I'm picking the Eagles.
See, I'm going to pick the Bucs purely because fuck the Eagles. I want the number 1 seed again this year, but that Bucs team is feisty. Although there's no Mike Evans, is there? So,
No. But Godwin and Wirfs did come back to practice.
Yeah, I've made my bed. I'm going to stick with it. The team with the biggest points differential this weekend, the New Orleans Saints travel to the Buffalo Bills. 14.5-point dogs are the Saints. The over-under is just under 50. I mean, it's going to take a literal miracle for the Saints to win this one, right? Is there any danger for the Bills whatsoever?
Probably not, no. I want the Saints to be behind because then I can get Kamara fantasy points in PPR leagues. Bills are going to run this out, hopefully, and I need them to. Because I need the points. I need the points.
The Washington Commodores are at the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons, who got blown out 30-0 by the Carolina Panthers last week, are favoured in this game, although I don't think there's no... Is Jaden Daniels' availability been made yet? Is he playing?
No, he's been ruled out. It's Mariota.
So Marcus Mariota, but still, the Falcons, who got absolutely whipped by the Panthers last week, are 2.5-point home favourites against the Commodores. Are the Falcons really going to win this? Is Marcus Mariota that bad? He looked pretty good last week.
I'm still picking Commanders. And that's just not me being a homer in a way, because I do like some of their offensive players. Though, McLaurin's out as well, so that's gonna really hurt them. But they have the run defense to shut down Bijan and Algier, and with Penix looking like Michael inserts the S where the X should be, I don't see the Falcons doing it, unfortunately. Mariota's good enough; he can just distribute the ball through their defense and get the points when they need it.
Yeah, I've got Lionel Richie's backup band as well, so there we go. We've got the Titans at the Strouds. The Strouds are favoured by 7, although they are not having a good year at all, but the Titans are not helping Cam Ward at all. Is this where the Texans seasons get rolling, or do Ward and the Titans strike the big first win in his tenure there?
Give me the Texans. Titans' offensive line still bad. I'll take him with the Strouds because Will Anderson and Hunter will take over that game.
I was about to say it's the Strouds. You don't want the Strouds coming up on your doorstep and blowing up your car, as per Tom Grossi law. So let's not let that happen.
What car? What car? I don't have a car.
The Strouds will find a possession you love and blow it up. That's what they do. They blew up the moon in Tom Grossi law again. So they will blow up anything you love. Yeah, I think the Texans are going to win this as well, although I do want Cam Ward to win one soon. I do really love him. Over-under for that game is less than 40, by the way, so they are really not sold on the offenses at all. The Panthers, fresh from their beatdown last weekend, travel to the Patriots, who themselves are not looking themselves at the minute. Patriots are favoured by 5.5 at Foxborough. Can the Panthers pull off another one, or will the Patriots dampen the enthusiasm from last week?
4 words for you. Travion Henderson, breakout game. He's going to absolutely run riot.
Okay.
So you don't agree, do you?
No. Sorry, I was looking at comments and I got sidetracked and I was kind of trying to process it. I am a Bryce Young truther. Screw it. Panthers again. I've got them winning the NFC South. Let's just go big or go home. In the next one, Indianapolis Jones and his crew of Colts travel cross country to the LA Rams. LA Rams favoured by 3.5. But is it going to be Matthew Stafford or is it going to be Indianapolis Jones celebrating the win at the end of this one?
Usually it's Rams that end up on the sacrificial table. But this week, unfortunately, Indiana Jones has found himself in the Temple of Doom, and he will be on the table being sacrificed to the gods instead. The Rams will win it. I am proud of myself for that one. That's not a bad one.
That's good. That's a good reference. That is a good reference. I will give you that. All Indiana Jones references are welcome on this podcast. Yeah, I got the Rams winning that as well. We got the Jacksonville Jaguars on the road to the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers only favoured by 3.5, but still playing Mac Jones. The Jags were pretty feisty last week themselves.
You haven't heard?
Everybody's heard about the bird. Oh, is he back?
He's back. Brock the Cock is back under centre for the 49ers.
In that case, I'm having the Jaguars to win. I think Man's going to turn the ball over too much. So I got Jags upset in that one. Yeah.
I have the 49ers winning with Ricky Pearsall mounting Travis Hunter for the win.
Oh my God. We've got a few left, and we need to get this wrapped up quick. The big one this week, in terms of possible playoff ramifications here, the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens at the 1-2 Kansas City Chiefs, and the Chiefs at home are 2.5-point dogs, which is not something that is said very often about them. The Chiefs do not look themselves this year. 2 bad losses They squeaked by a Giants team they should have beaten much easier, but the Ravens have lost to the Bills and the Lions. They can't beat the big teams this year, and traditionally in years gone past, they always find a way to bugger it up against the Chiefs. Which team's going 1-3?
Travis, get your wedding planning sorted for February, because I have the Ravens. They're going to want to come out and absolutely put a beating down on the Chiefs after what we did to them. So, last week, and Monday Night Football, the Ravens were wearing black. By the end of the game, the Chiefs fans will be wearing black for the funeral of their season.
I'm going to be wearing black for the funeral of Virginia at this rate. Come on, Cavs, you can do a lot better than this. Every time the Chiefs are backed into a corner, they win. I don't know. You do feel like the Ravens are the much better side, though. But John Harbaugh loses the big games all the time. I'll go Chiefs. You've got to prove me wrong, John. Got to prove me wrong. We've got Ben Johnson and the Chicago Bears on the road to the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders are 1.5-point favourites, and they would be more if they ran Ashton Jonte to give my fantasy football team some points. The Bears continue to get a piss easy schedule. Like, these fourth place schedules every year put them up some really good games. Is Benedict Johnson going to get his second win as a Bears head coach, or are the Raiders finally going to win one?
We've already won one, but they're going to go to 500. I have the Raiders winning and Jonte breaking out as the Virginia QB is picked off by Florida State for the second time today.
I should know. I'm useless at the pick watch. I love college football. I know a lot about college football, but the more you know, the less you know when you're picking games. Exactly. I'm going to reverse jinx it and say the Bears are going to win just purely so Jonte can have a 200-yard rushing game. And if the Bears win, then I'm just going to give up at fantasy football and in life. The Sunday night football game, one of two? No, it's two Monday night games. Packers at Cowboys. Micah Parsons is going.
Oh yeah, that's the Sunday. Yeah, that's the Sunday. Yeah. If you're only spending the Sunday night, then there's two Monday night ones.
Sunday night football. Packers at Cowboys. Micah Parsons is going home, and the Packers are 7-point road favourites. The Cowboys look completely gash. The Packers are also gash. Who's going to win out of these two bad teams?
It's Sophie's choice, isn't it? Like, we hate both, but I hate the Cowboys slightly more, which sounds sacrilegious. I'm picking the Packers.
When the Cowboys lose, America wins. That is the same. Exactly. We all win. I've got the Packers winning as well, although I'm not really keen on that. Shout out Patrick Svecki says, great to catch you guys live, love everything you do, let's go Lions. Appreciate you, Patrick, and of course everybody else in the building with us as well. We wouldn't be doing this without the support of you all. And then the double header on Monday night, and my God, if this is the best you can do in prime time, the New York Jets on the road at the Miami Dolphins. Now the Jets keep threatening to win games and keep losing them in heartbreaking fashion. The Miami Dolphins look completely useless this year, but Grandizer still believes in it, and I'm going to go nice on them here. And actually, the Dolphins are 2.5-point favourites here. The Jets are road dogs, which is maybe a little bit surprising, but is Aaron going to get his first win in charge of the Jets, or is Mike McDaniel going to get his first with the Dolphins this year? I'm guessing two winless teams so far. I don't think neither of them have won a game. So we've got a Mexican standoff of bad teams already this year. Jets or Dolphins?
My heart says for Glenn to get his first win. He deserves it. After that dance last week, he deserves it. He somehow snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. This week against Turnover, he will finally get his first win.
My mind's telling me no, but my body is telling me yes. That's what Ash is doing there. I want to say the Jets are going to do it as well, but I feel like I've been really mean to the Dolphins this year. So you know what? I'm going to pick the Dolphins to win this one, and for, them to have a little bit of something to celebrate here. Aaron's got to go through the true Dan Campbell experience. As love Aaron Glenn, but he has to be pummeled into the ground by bad defeats and heartbreaking defeats, because you break a man down, you build him back stronger. So I'm doing this for you, AG, by saying you're going to lose to the Dolphins. And then the very last one of the week, before we get done, the Cincinnati Bengals at the Denver Broncos. Broncos favoured by 7.5. The Bengals completely useless now. Burrow is hurt, and our opponents next week, so they're going to be on a short week compared to us, who are not. Seems fairly obvious now.
Yeah, give me Denver.
Denver it is. And with that, that is our show for today. We really appreciate all of you who have been in this evening. If I've missed any questions, I apologise. Leave them in the comments for us, and we will address them on the next show, which is going to be pretty damn soon. We're always live at this moment in time. In terms of the next shows, we will be back tomorrow. Again, we will be doing a college football watch along. We will be watching Penn State and Oregon in the late slate, as well as Georgia and Alabama. So come chat with us about all things college football related. It's going to be a good one. And then, of course, we'll be back on Sunday for hopefully the live stream for the Browns at the Lions. I finish work at 5, so I should be back just in time. We will be live during the game. If we're a few minutes late, we're a few minutes late, but we will be here, of course, because why would we not be? We're going to watch it all together, so hopefully you can come and join us. Join us as we play the Browns on Sunday, and then, of course, we'll get into next week's slate of stuff as well. So we've got a lot of shows coming up there. You can find us at Roar of the Lions UK. Just type us in. You will find our beautiful faces right there. You can follow us on Twitter, all that good sort of stuff. We really appreciate you all. Thanks ever so much, Ash. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the guys who've been in the comments. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we shall see you tomorrow to watch some Ducks and some Nittany Lions. One pride.
One pride.
And screw Florida State.